Welcome back, everyone, to my channel. Today, we have a very special interview, which I am very excited to do. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that I am very interested in mysterious music. And I thought, what a good idea it would be to interview those bands when they are eventually identified. So today, we have a very special band. They come out of Portland, Oregon. They were around in the late 80s to, I think, early 90s. And, you can label them as an indie band, alternative rock band. They had a song that was named Personal for a while, and for the longest time, for a few years, it was remained unidentified until eventually, if I know my info correctly, I think Stu was the one who linked the video on the original Facebook post. Is that correct?
No, that would not have been. Yeah, it was Jordan, I believe.
It's all Jordan's fault from here on out.
Well, here we are. We have, eventually the song was identified as a song called Making Dedication by the Portland, Oregon band First Person. I have everyone here today. Welcome, gentlemen. We have Jordan Rzad. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Bass, Mark Johnson on vocals, Stu Carpenter, the guitarist, and Colin Colebank on drums. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time once again. If you want to just give a quick introduction to yourselves, let everyone know who you are, by all means, the floor is yours.
Well, Jordan Rzad, bass.
Colin Colebank, drums.
I'm Stu. I did guitar.
And my name's Mark, and I sing and write, and good to see you guys.
Yeah, this is the first time we've actually been in the same place together in 30 years. So this is pretty amazing for us, and it's good to see y'all, and this is pretty fun.
And
thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you guys. I'm more than happy to be a part of this. I'm glad I was able to get the boys back together, The boys is important. Usually it's safe for Saturdays, but Sundays work too. So, like I said, 8 questions. We're just going to start from the beginning. How did First Person form?
Well, okay, I'm going to try not to hog this, but everybody's going to come from a different perspective, of course. So I'm going to be real quick on my end. Mark and I grew up in Vancouver, Washington, which is a suburb of Portland. We went to high school together. And the minute we kind of connected, we were on the same wavelength that we wanted to be in a band, and that was pretty well understood. So all through high school, we played with different people. And then once he graduated, he was a couple years ahead of me. We still played together. And then once I graduated, it was just a done deal. We got to go looking for people to play with. And then we found Stu, and then later Colin. And I mean, that's the short version on my end. So I'll hand off to anybody else.
Yeah, I remember that time Jordan and I were, recording things with Casios and cassette players and anything we could to just start documenting some songs at the beginning.
Drum machines, yeah.
Finding people, like-minded people to play with is always a challenge. But Jordan and I were on the look for quite a while, and then we found Stu. I'm not sure who introduced us. Do you remember, Jordan?
No, I don't.
Well, we're glad we found him.
Yeah.
Are you laughing yet, Stu?
Connected with Colin. He knew him.
I want to say it was through an ad or something that I hooked up through Mark. And I believe that we had first done a little bit of playing, like really hardly anything, but then it was like I had gotten together with you and Jordan over in Vancouver, and I was just like, holy crap, the dude plays bass. And hearing her voice, it was just like, oh my God, because there was a lot of people that would like play bass, and there was a lot of people that would sing, but like they were really good at it. And I was like, oh, I knew Colin from, I want to say different things in the past, but I don't think that's true, Colin. I think this may have been the first thing that we did. Did we do anything before this? I don't think we did. That didn't matter.
So I'm like hanging out in the passenger side of my girlfriend's car, and she like slams on the brake and says, "Oh my God, I think that's Stu," and pulls over to the side of the road. And I'm like, "Who the hell is Stu?" And it turns out it's her ex-boyfriend. And so, we pull over, pick up this random dude walking down the street. I guess I'm getting in the back seat, whatever. And, obviously Stu and I ended up having an awful lot in common. And just ever since then, it's like we keep running into each other every few years. It's like, dude, you should check this out. And every single time I walk into a room and Stu's there, it's a success.
I love it. I love this story. I love it. People think like a band is so sophisticated. They make music together. No, it could have just been as simple as, is that your ex? Oh, okay. Next thing you know, you're in a band together. I love it. I love it. So, and that's great. And how old were you guys when First Person joined? I know you said Jordan. Mark's a little older than you. Are you guys around the same age for the most part, or?
I was 19.
So I would have been 21.
Okay.
I think I was around 21. I was honestly, Nikki, I was really stupid and really high. So,
I mean, that did not affect your playing, though. I think you still put up some killer riffs. So, yeah. And, you know, speaking of riffs, you know, you guys, from what I've listened to, are a very diverse band in your sound. One song does not sound the exact same. And another thing I love about your guys' music is that each song is like over 5 minutes, which I love. I'm all for long songs. You know, nothing Child in Time by Deep Purple, but, you know, I love not the typical 2.5 to 3 minutes. So
that's called lack of discipline.
All right, well, just keep going. Stu, just keep the riff going.
That's a funny thing because, you know, you talk about age. Colin was a little bit older, not a whole lot, but you know, I thought, you know, when back at those ages, you think the slightest difference in ages is really a big deal, you know. So Colin seemed to me like the elder statesman, like he knew everything. So whenever Colin said something, I was like,
Colin had a home too, right?
Yeah, look, okay, I'll listen. You know, and you know, he really knows. You know, he'd been in other bands and stuff, so it's like, okay, yeah, he must, you know. So, but yeah, we had no discipline, or really nobody telling us, you got to keep your songs to 3 minutes 30 seconds, and it's got to go, you know, verse chorus, or you know, we do anything we want. So we kind of did.
And I think that's great because it breaks it up, because, you know, the typical pop song is what? Verse, chorus, maybe a solo, ending chorus, boom, it's over. But no, you guys, you know, you did something a little differently. Obviously, you had your choruses and your verses, and I just got an Xbox notification. Sorry. So, as a band,
we all, you know, came from a pretty diverse, you know, stylistic background. So a lot of the time we didn't know how the songs were going to turn out until we all got together and started adding our bits on top.
And that brings up a good point, because that leads into my next question. You know, obviously, as a band, there's a specific sound you guys are going to go for. Maybe it's collectively different sounds from each of you, but who were the band's biggest musical influences when you guys were making your music?
It's easier to point out how we felt other members' influences were. I've been in a lot of like pop rock sort of bands, and I'd never worked with anyone who had such a deep Frank Sinatra, you know, influence coming through. And then Mark turned me on to the Smiths, who I could care less about, but that is the most foreign thing I'd ever been involved in. And that's really the point of being original and creative, is to find people that have completely different influences from you, and just say, hey, I can be part of this. How can I help this? How can we work together and make this go forward?
I did a Spotify playlist called First Person Portland, where I asked all these guys, hey, shoot me some influences, so we can put them all on there. And if you went on there, you'd be like, wow, this is crazy. This is bananas, because it's all over the map, you know? And that's kind of, if you were ever to hear our whole set, you know, towards the end, we had, I think, 2 sets. A lot of our stuff would sound all over the map, you know, because of all these influences coming in. Sometimes it would sound really cool, and sometimes it'd be like, what's going on? You know, and we just trying to figure it out. And so I don't think there was ever a distinct, that's their sound. That's what they sound like, you know. Even the 4 songs that made it onto Spotify or something, they don't necessarily sound alike.
Right, yeah, and I'm taking a look at I found it on Spotify. I'm looking at it right now, and I am seeing, you know, Rush, Working Man. I love that song. You got Van Halen, then of course the Smiths, Japan, Duran Duran, Oingo Boingo. So, and as a band, there's never just going to be that, unless you're a cover band, there's never going to be that one band you influence from. So I like that it's, classic 70s rock. There's a little bit of 80s alternative new wave stuff like that. And it's funny because the last band or duo that I interviewed, Dressed to Kill, they were from the UK. They had very much of the similar influences. So, and it's pretty cool just how, diverse the influences are. And
sometimes songs take a life of their own, and we're just holding on, and the song kind of dictates how it wants to sound. I think like once someone has added their unique touch to it, then that inspires the other one to try something. And it
sounds like you influenced Colin for a while into the Smiths, or you brought that onto him, or
yeah, that I anybody who knew me back then, I did enjoy the Smiths a lot. I mean, there was many other, New Order, Echo and the Bunnymen, The Cure, lots of bands that I like to listen to. But I suppose you can hear a little bit in that in my phrasing or in my lyricism. Yeah, it was hard to pinpoint a particular. Neither one of us we weren't trying to make it sound like something. So there was a certain freedom in our expression. We afforded ourselves a lot of liberties, if that's fair.
Anytime you write something and you bring it into a room, there's 4 of us here. So I have 100% invested in something. I'm going to bring it in. I know I'm only going to get 25% back because everybody else is going to make their interpretation of whatever it is that I present. And that's, that's it. You can say, I want it to sound like this, but how it ends up being interpreted by the rest of the members of the band is something completely new. I think Stu and I had a lot more similar influences from different perspectives, but Mark was, for me, was a completely unique individual and introduced me to a whole bunch of stuff that it was kind of on the radar, but I wasn't as deeply vested in it as Mark was. It's kind of like every time we got together, Mark was like, "Yeah, I think you'll like this." And he was almost always right.
Yeah, I think Mark.
Go ahead.
I wanted to say that like Mark had a way of being able to throw in a really clever vocal line, and he would work at it too. While we would be driving places, he would drive and he would go over the same line until he found just the right one. And if you didn't know, you think, no, he's nuts. But no, he would keep on trying until he found just the right one. It's like, oh man, that's cool.
And was that more or less, influential or annoying if you guys are just driving in the car and you're just like, "Guy, we're just in the line for Taco Bell," and somebody's just over there screaming at the top of his lungs? I mean, listen, you got to put in the time for it at any given day. So, that's dedication, making dedication.
Mark was famous for pushing tapes on people. It's like, here's a tape, it's like, oh, here's the tape. Mark gave me a tape. And it's like, and after a while, it's like, I should check this out. I should check this out because there's going to be something on here that I'm going to like. And that's always the case.
Mark and I were actually in prison together at a job that we had for like, I don't know, would that last like a year or something like that? And we would hijack the audio system in the building and like plug stuff in. And so you'd be like trapped in a box with Mark listening to whatever Mark wanted to listen to. And then I'd like throw something in until we're, ready to kill each other and get out of the building. And then we'd, come back later in the day and get together in this project and it'd be something completely different that we bring in.
Yeah, that was kind of hard labor.
Yeah, sounds like, what was the job?
We were cleaning floors.
Oh.
Is that right, Colin?
Yeah. When cleaning floors in a Kmart.
Editorial arts.
Tube-driven tape deck thing for like the audio system in there. And we'd like plug in a Walkman or something and like crank the whole thing up. We got in trouble a couple of times for that.
When Robbie Knapp, the guy that was originally looking for Making Dedication, when he put that on Facebook, when he started this search like 3 years ago or something, he put that up and people started trying to guess who did the song. The guesses they were putting up were hysterical to me because they were putting up a lot of, oh, is it the Smiths? Is it New Order? Is it, and those were kind of easy guesses because those were just bands that a million people were into at the time. So that was kind of low hanging fruit. But then people would guess bands like Sad Lovers and Giants and more obscure bands that Mark and I actually listened to that it's like we would never brought up, but people were bringing up that they thought we were. It's like, wow, that's crazy. Because one thing about this band was that if no one ever like tried to push a certain sound, if they did, they'd get called out on it. It's like, don't try to do, don't try to force us in a direction, that's not going to work. So don't even try it. These more obscure bands that would come up that people would guess. It's like, wow, I remember listening to that band. No one ever said at the time to my face, hey, you guys sound like this band. But yet people in retrospect are saying, well, they kind of sound like this. It's like, I'm amazed that came out. We never tried for that. We never attempted that. But somehow somebody got it.
Yeah, and it's just interesting if your work's being compared to someone else's work that you either looked up to, admired, even if you weren't trying to go for the sound. It's like, wow, we listened to them. That's crazy, especially if they're more obscure.
Yeah, a lot of osmosis, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
When we were doing a rehearsal and we were working on a new song together, it's like after the rehearsal or during, one of them would say, oh, that kind of reminds me of an XTC song. And somebody else would say, well, that part kind of reminded me the same thing. Kind of reminded me of a Queen song, or that kind of reminded me of a American Music Club. And so that would make the other person go, well, I'm going to go listen to my old Queen records I haven't listened to in a long time, or I'm going to the American Music Club, what they're doing. It was kind of we all were like, kind of feeding off each other's influences, even if it was in a subtle way,
Before we record, I was telling Jordan that the song Someday sounds like a Pink Floyd song, and it has like that progressive sound to it. And Stu, I once again gotta admire your guitar work, because it starts off with like just like this quirky, just moody, like ethereal kind of riff, and then just breaks down to like a Pink Floyd-esque song. And I was like, this is a jam, this is a vibe.
I stole. That's the direct stealing of. I mean, that's Roger Waters. That's not me. That's that's Gilmore. That's I stole like crazy. The beginning of Dedication. That's pure The Edge. It is. If I'm gonna be honest, but I loved it, and that's why I don't want to say ripped it off. I borrowed, was heavily influenced by, but and I think in the whole. Bringing up of that song again, it's what got me to realize, oh no, that I was definitely stealing from you too, but other people I guess didn't hear it. I did, but that's cool.
I gotta add on, with Someday, because I had mentioned before about, I remember Stu coming in with, that was a song that Stu came in with the riffs and everything, and one thing that was really fun about this band, it was totally fearless. It's like, you want to come in, you want to do a weird time signature? Cool, let's try it. You want to come in with some weird staccato rhythm or something, or some weird let's do it. Let's just do it. It'll either work or it won't, but we're going to try it, So the beginning of Someday's got a weird intro, but it's like, yeah, why not try it? Let's just do it, and the guitar pattern's kind of weird, but like let's double it. Sure, why not? It's either going to work or it's not, but we won't know until we try it, and everybody was always willing to give it a shot, and that was what made it really fun.
The only person with a whip and a chair would be Mark, simply because he was the director, and he was an incredible director. So you follow him, and any group of creative people has to have somebody that comes in and says, this is the direction we're going. And thank you, Mark.
Yeah. Sometimes it would be like I had, one stanza with 4 sentences. So obviously that's going to be the end of the verse right there. That's it.
Not really a complicated thing, but
just cut off right there.
Do that thing you did one more time. Okay, that's perfect.
Sounds like a lot of it, that's what it means to be indie or an indie band, or whatever label it is. But which leads into the next question. Then, as an indie band, what was like what did you guys use to record these songs? Did you guys use like a friend's base? Or was it an actual studio you guys went to? Because I know a lot of people, they've just recorded, and sometimes in their bedrooms, even back then.
Thank God
Colin-
Colin had a cool
Yeah,
basement.
Colin could answer that the best on the technical.
Yeah. To begin with, Fostex 4-track cassette machines are incredible, and I probably had the top of the line Fostex 4-track cassette. Over a period of time, you start collecting stuff, so you end up with mixing boards to make it possible to like cram the most of it onto only 4 tracks. And then we had friends that would like have buy 8-track machines, and Barrett's machine, I think, was a Tascam 8-track in some terrible basement somewhere that we're able to go in and lay down some stellar sounding tracks on that, just quality gear.
Master onto some like a beta or a video cartridge or something almost.
Then that was a thing at the time, a mastering onto beta tape, because the beta tape was actually a superior format than anything else out there at the time.
Yeah.
To say that I know what all those things are, I would be lying to you. I don't know all of the technology and stuff. So
These were just the things you had to do at the time to weasel out the best possible sound you could get, and you just used whatever you had, whatever you could get your hands on to get nuance out the best sound.
The most important thing is that you record it. If you're doing it, you record it. That's it. How you recorded it, well, the format you recorded on, that's irrelevant. It's capture the moment is what you're doing.
yeah, exactly. Whether that's a 4 cassette, whether if you're in an actual studio, whatever, just the work that you're making, just record it, save it, put it down. Even if it takes a million takes, there's all these take 1, 2, 40. Just put it down, record it. Even if it's just like a piece of a song or just vocals. I'm all for reserving history, media, music in general. So, and the music is probably, in my opinion, the most influential piece of media. It's, I think, the piece of media that connects to the soul the most, more than movies, games, books. So it's important to keep that stuff. And I'm glad that you have that, ideology. All right. So then I guess we'll just go into the next question. So you guys have talked about what it was like, getting together, influences, how you guys made songs. What was the story after the band? Because obviously you guys are living in different parts throughout the country. Where did everyone end up going? How long was First Person, officially around for?
What do we figure, Jordan? Probably 9 months, cut tops.
Yeah, 9 months. At the time, it seemed like it was a really long time, but then, in retrospect, I really don't think it was that long. I think it was maybe a year at the most, really. So I'm thinking about a year. And then we just, Colin and Stu went on to a band called the Willies, which was they're on Spotify too, the Willies. And they were, I dare say, a very successful band in Portland. They did some really great stuff. And Mark went on to do the Parsons and a bunch of other bands. And, everybody went off to, other things. It's like the First Person was just that's what makes this whole thing so weird. It's like, it was just a blip, of all the things that would get, a lot of attention, at least in my sphere. This is not the thing that I would have expected.
Right. Especially if you've gone on to other bands and you think, a year, that's not really that long of a time. If that,
Yeah. We've all done other bands. We put probably a lot more effort, a lot more energy, a lot more, everything into. So for this to get this amount of whatever this has, that's what is so odd or unexpected.
Yeah. We were all at a spot in our personal lives where we were in a transitional spot, and it just happened that we intersected for a while, and then everybody went and did their own thing, and I went away to college, and Jordan was in another band, and Colin and Stu, like you said, we're in the Willies, and then
we're actually on Amazon. And I don't know how we're on Amazon, but we're on Amazon apparently.
Interesting. What is there anything that Amazon doesn't have their hands on? Let's think about it for a second. Does Baldy Bezos have his hands on everything? Maybe, who knows?
I've learned a tremendous amount about distribution in the past year.
Jordan and I ended up hooking up in a project, Carnival of Souls. I don't know if it was called that at the time.
Right.
But James eventually moved to LA. That was a grueling project, and it was 100% career driven. And that guy was an amazing singer songwriter that never hit, and some anomaly puts us here.
It was get the deal, and it kind of took a lot of the joy out of being in it. Circling back, for me, that's one thing that I really liked about this band, was there was a lot of joy in this band, because we were just exploring and creating, sometimes failing, but a lot of creativity going on, and not so focused on getting the deal.
And then the repetition in the process and rehearsal was about delivering a final product that we were all proud of, whereas the project that Jordan and I ended up in was a job. It had to be done. It had to be done perfect. It had to be done specifically this way because it's being marketed specifically this way. And, your entire livelihood is depending on it. It was not an enjoyable process. So when, Stu, I run into Stu and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing the Willies. You should come check this out." Like, I'm out of here. I'm just going to enjoy myself.
This was like, you got to think about it like historically, timeline wise, 89, 90, that's like right before grunge was about to engulf the world. So like, obviously when that took place, a lot of, record labels were like, at the same time, they're saying, all right, do whatever you want. But at the same time, the little guys, they're saying, if you didn't sound like Nirvana, then forget it. Things had to probably sound a certain way, do a certain way. So, I could imagine
this was before that, actually considerably before that. There was very definitely a hotbed of creativity in Portland, and you could live here cheaply and play millions of clubs for 20 people, most of them in other bands.
I pay my rent with a part-time job. that was awesome.
As a Rhode Islander, I am jealous.
There was the point where I could work a job, get a job at Burger King. Yeah. It was great. Scoring fine, wonderful. Hey, I got to get this Saturday. Hey, you got to work. Okay. Bye. Another job. I mean, that just cycled through. It's just like, oh, that's going to be, nobody cared, but really it just allowed us a lot of time and to do kind of things like that, I think.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And, like at the end of the day, looks like everything, worked out. So, if you had to leave Burger King to go play your gig on Saturday, who cares? Let them get another burger flipper.
Right. All
right. So now I want to get into more about the identification and the finding of your guys' band. So obviously it was November 2021 when eventually Making Dedication was solved. It was no longer considered personal. What was everyone's reaction when they found out that thousands of people online were looking for their work for, again, a band that was like a little blip in history that, at most they were in for a year?
Well, okay, let me start this up. It was November 15th, because I'll never forget this, because it was so weird. It's like one of the weirdest days of my life. So I had the cassette tape, the demo tape that we had made to promote a gig, and it was a good quality recording. Anyway, we had just moved here to this house, and I found this tape. You find stuff when you move. And it's like, okay, I found this cassette tape. I don't have anything to play it on, but if the songs are good quality, maybe I'll make a YouTube, because I had somebody had made a video of one of our shows. Actually, Colin's girlfriend had shot a video of one of our shows with a camcorder, and I had tried to rip that one time, but the sound didn't come through, but I just had the video. So if I took the demo tape audio and the camcorder video, if I could take both of those, I could make a little video of one of the songs and put it on YouTube and just share it with the guys, because I hadn't seen them forever. And it would just be kind of a funny thing to do. Like, hey guys, haven't talked to you forever. Here's a funny thing. Haha. Hooray. We ripped it. and it came out fine. And so I made the little video, and I spent like no time on it. Had I known what was going to happen, I would have done a better job. But so it was dedication, and I put it on YouTube. And then it's like, well, okay, now I got to find the other guys. And I think I ended up finding Colin's girlfriend, Marty, and because Marty knows everything and knows everybody. She's the go-to person always. The next day, there's like 20 views, and I think, oh, great, it worked. She shared it, and super, people saw it, and And then the next day, there's like 200, and people are making comments. And the weird thing is, in the comments field, people keep saying personal and solved, and I don't know what that means. And then people are typing in the lyrics, and it's like, I don't even know the lyrics. How do they know the lyrics? This is weird. And it's like, and then I think like people are, and then the worst, I think like, people are just trolling the song. I mean, are people just being that rude, that they're just, and it's like, and it's blowing up, solve. And it finally dawns on me, I finally just asked the question, in the comments field, and you can see it there. It's like, have people been looking for this song? Like, for why? And for how long? I have to give the shout out to like the people from the Discord servers, like Fawn My Mind and TMM. They start explaining stuff that they've been looking for a year, and then that Robbie Knepp on Facebook's been looking for 3 years, and then people have recorded cover versions. Now we've just like flipped out into another universe. Because again, as we've talked about before, this band was so obscure, such a short blip of time on the radar. This makes no sense at all. None. This is just bananas. And so the rest is just like, I can't believe this is happening. I don't get it. And I'm trying to explain the magnitude to these guys. And at first I think they're all kind of like, what? What happened now?
It's Will Gaskin.
Jordan started sending through spreadsheets of where it's being played. And
I work in marketing now, so
for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I work in marketing. I communicate stuff through spreadsheets and bar graphs and stuff. It's the only way now to communicate stuff, because it's like, I don't even know how to tell you what's going on, because I'm not sure I understand myself.
The numbers don't lie.
Exactly, the numbers don't lie. And all it took was one person back then to just record it off the radio. And now, because like if he had done that, we probably wouldn't be here right now. That no one would ever known of First Person if he didn't. And
it was only on the radio one time.
Exactly.
Mark and I were like arguing about this videotape thing. Where the hell the videotape? Who took the videotape? And so she, has to explain to me again what happened in my life. Her mom bought the video camera for her wedding. And so I videotaped the wedding on that camera. And then I think we probably had a gig like the next night or that night, or who knows. And Marty like types the camera from her mom and brings it down and tapes the thing. And then, within, 6 months, she like takes a cassette to Nessa at Q105, who has a radio show, and Marty knows her, and then next thing we know, we're mixing a DAT to be played on the radio.
And if I could say real quick, if it's my understanding that the lady who played the songs passed away, right?
Yeah, Mark is a close friend of Vanessa and her husband, and they both passed just recently.
Yeah, very sorry to hear that.
Within 2 weeks of each other. I remember I met Wayne, we took an acting class together, and we just started talking about musical influences, and it wasn't, but a couple of days I was over at their house, hanging out, spinning records and having fun. Yeah, I remember when we had a 4-track cassette, and they're like, okay, well, you want to play this on the radio, we're going to have to do going to remaster it or squash it, enhance it, excite it, something. And yeah, I think it was just the one play, but
yeah. And I don't know if you guys know this because Robert privated the video now. I think right when the song was about to get identified in that time frame, it had like over 10,000 views, which, you know, for a band that was this obscure, it's like mind blowing. Like, what? Like, where did that come from? And just because people nowadays, you know, when you have a piece of media or like a face, for example, just like or song, and you can't put a name to it, even if the song itself is good, naturally people are going to go, what is this? Like, it's curious now because it's like, how did this happen? Like, that's, you know, because of the internet, that's how things can happen sometimes. If someone has a recording, you know, like, I don't know.
It's a perfect storm because it only played that one time, and she did introduce the song and the band and the title of it, but the recording that Robbie did, he
just
like cut that part off. So if he would have saved that part, there would be no mystery.
Exactly.
Know? So
Mark,
it's just
Colin,
this
Stu and
perfect
Jude
storm.
are going to be doing Key Largo tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So, like what you hear. Yeah.
And that Q105 recording's on YouTube as well, and SoundCloud and all that. You know, it's all over the place.
But at the same time, like you said, it's a perfect story because if he never did that and he just had, we already recognized the band, there'd be no mystery, story over. But you know, so it was a blessing in disguise. I don't know why I got my sunglasses in my hand, but it was a blessing in disguise. So, and now that brings me to the question now, because as you know, new fans are coming to your guys' music, they're coming, you know, like myself, people are looking at, you know, you guys as not only a band, but a former Mysterious band. So my question is then, since going into the Discord server, have any of you guys heard other Mysterious songs? And if so, do you have any in particular that you've heard that you like, maybe like sounds recognizable?
So everything is mysterious to me at this point.
I'm 52 years old. Everything's mysterious.
What day is it? That's a mystery.
I have a teenage son. It's all mysterious to me.
Yeah, that's an important thing, because Jordan, didn't this start with your son, like, say, being like into a specific genre that the kids are all about?
Well, you know, I was comparing that. Why I was trying to speculate why, because again, you know, being in marketing, I'm like, you know, really into the demographics and studying, you know, the geographics and the demographics of who's listening and where and what are their ages, and you know, and the people that listen to the song, you know, once we got it up on Spotify and officially on, you know, YouTube and stuff, the people listening are not our age. They're, you know, 18 to 24 and or the next bracket up, and they are fairly international, you know, going into South America a lot and to Poland and Europe and you know, it makes me want to, you know, I wish I knew more, because it makes me want to call them and go, like, why are you listening? You know, what about this makes you want to listen? You know,
who gave this to you? Like,
yeah. But you know, my son, you know, would listen to this genre of music that's kind of a throwback to an 80s sound, and so I was wondering, you know, it makes me think, well, maybe that's part of it, and again, I think a lot of it just has to do with the mystery, you know, just the unknown, and a sort of DIY sound it has to it, that lo-fi kind of quality that it has to it as well, you know, not overproduced, I guess. So I think all that has something to do with it, maybe.
I'm very encouraged by, you know, the younger generation coming up with stuff like this, because I have no idea how else you would find new music and new genres. I mean, we were in a band for 6 months, which evolved into, you know, 3-4 other projects, and that's what it's all about at that particular period of time. I try not to hang out with people my own age because they're boring and they seem to think that this is the way things are. You know, there's 2 types of music: there's country and there's western. You know, it's like
we play both kinds of music, country and western.
yeah, exactly. It's like, no, go hang out with the kids and listen to something that you have no idea what this is, and watch the feeding frenzy happen over there. That's life.
Exactly.
People on Discord, on the Discord servers, you know, will contact me and say, you know, hey, you know, something will come up and say, well, you got any input on this one? What do you think about this one? And I'll just like best just sort of top of mind. I'll throw something out real quick. What's my gut reaction to this? Because that's the best I can do. You know, I've listened to the most mysterious song a million times. I've given my input, but it's nothing that anybody else hasn't already said. You know, I don't think I've come up with anything profound, and for a lot of the other songs too. So, you know, I've given my 2 cents, but nothing profound.
Yeah, I mean, the most mysterious song that I don't know what the hell happened. That thing has 5 million views on YouTube, and no one knows who made it. So it's a mystery. But it's funny too, because if you listen to a lot of unknown songs, mysterious songs, a lot of them tend to be songs from the 80s, alternative or indie. And for whatever reason, a lot of them are from Germany, like a lot of German unknown post-punk. Like, what happened in the 80s in Germany? I'm not entirely sure, but
a lot of access to recording equipment, I think. Cheap
Maybe.
Recording equipment, I don't know.
Like, it's a phenomenon, and that's why it's so interesting, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when you get to sit down and interview someone, you know, whose music would be considered unknown, at the end of the day, you're just guys, you're just people who just making art, you know, and it branched off to other things, because, you know, naturally as humans, when people think unknown, mystery, it's like there's an unnerving vibe to it. So like when they listen to a song, like the most mysterious song on the internet, they think, oh, that's kind of creepy, like no name attached to the song. But if it had a name to it, it'd just be another song. And that's really all there is to it. I would say, if you haven't already, listen to The Fall of the King. That's the mysterious metal song. I don't know if you guys heard of that, if you're into metal. My God, is that a killer song. Amazing guitar solo. Stu, you'd probably really appreciate the guitar solo in that and the work in that. It's amazing. I don't know how that isn't identified yet. That's my all-time favorite.
Noted.
I'll wrap it up here with the last question. We've talked about a lot of things that you guys have done, you know, where you guys are in life now. You know, obviously, we're talking over Zoom. You guys aren't in person. You know, you said you live in Houston, Jordan, and, you know, everyone else is elsewhere. By any chance, will there be some sort of like reunion or will first person get together and make something in the future? Again, I know it's tough because you guys are in different parts of the country, but is there a possibility that first person will make more music?
I would say absolutely not, simply because at this point, if we got together and made something, it would be something completely different.
Yeah, it would be, I don't know how that would even be possible. And you know, personally, I haven't, you know, I doodle around, but I'm not nearly at the whatever level I was at, but not nearly close to that. So that would be like really impossible to do.
No, I'm pretty, this whole experience has kind of opened up my eyes, and it's kind of inspired me to, like, you know, go back into the recording studio, work on new stuff, maybe archive some of my other projects that just sit on the shelf that people don't know about. And so I kind of want to, you know, kind of get my affairs in order, so to speak, and at least finish a lot of unfinished musical business. But possible? Is it possible? Probably not, but if we were in the same room together, I'm sure we'd try to play together.
How could we not?
I think he's rolling up his sleeve.
I think there's a lot to be said, you know, for just letting something be what it is.
Yeah.
And just, you know, appreciating what it is and just, you know, letting it be.
Right, and not letting it overstay its welcome. You know, first person was a thing you guys did, and, you know, it's in that part of history. You know, that's a great. That's a.
Stu, do you have something?
Yeah.
I'm kind of along with the camp that Jordan's coming from. That I'm really kind of shocked of anything that we've done, that this is the thing that got any attention, and I'm a little, honestly, very thankful for that. I think there's something that I kind of completely forgot about the song, to be honest, but the idea that people would pay that much attention to it just really kind of makes me feel like, oh man, at this point in my life, 30 years later, thank you. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. The outpouring of appreciation and the feedback that we've gotten from people has been incredible.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's you know, more than anything, has just been wonderful. And so thanks to everybody, you know, it's just been tremendous.
And I don't think we could, it wouldn't be the same. And it would, not that it would take away from anything in the past, but the past at that point was such a learning point for me that I wouldn't want to revisit in any way other than I'm able to at this point in time. And it means so much to me to be able to do that now, especially knowing as how people like saw into that, said, hey, this is kind of cool. That meant something. Coming from a point in my life that wasn't all that great, but still, like, I had these really cool people around me. So yeah, it's a mixed blessing, but it's a blessing for sure. So that's what.
So then I guess the better question to ask then would be, are you guys going to keep in touch from now on? Because this is the first time y'all have been in a room together in 30 years. Are you guys, maybe going to keep in touch more often, maybe?
I think as much as allowed. We've all got our lives. We're all doing our thing, and you can't force this stuff. You can't. You do what you can. And as much as is allowed. Sure.
All right. Well, and I think that's a great way to end it off. So, gentlemen, Jordan, Mark, Stu, Colin, I want to personally thank you, not just for myself, but I imagine people who are watching this in the Discord server who are interested in mysterious music are thankful for your time. This was a pleasure. It was a great conversation. Really enjoyed talking to you guys today. And thank you so much. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Nikki.
All right. See ya.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.